Hey. It's Tico here again, and welcome to this bonus episode of the Everything Voiceovers podcast, The African Perspective. It's bonus episodes from now until January. Just short episodes to keep you in the voiceover vibe, if you know what I mean, because we promise to always give you something to listen to every week. So this week, I've got a conversation from this year, 2024, where myself and Sarah Johnson interviewed one of the respected OGs in the industry, Ahmed Olalekan, who happens to be a voiceover artist with a career spanning about 2 decades, who is also a broadcaster. And he had a lot to share in that particular episode. But this part or portion of the episode where we explored, he was talking about the growth of the voiceover industry, how things used to be back in the day, and now we have technology to our advantage. But there's something that you would learn from that, as he spoke about that change. But another thing that he really talked about in this episode, this bonus episode I'd like you to pay attention to, was his foray into Upwork. And I think that was a very inspiring thing to listen to. I can't spill the tea yet. I'm just giving you a snippet of what you should expect. So I'll let you enjoy the episode, and after this next 10 minutes, we could talk about what we learned from that, right? Yeah. So enjoy, and I'll be right back.
The landscape has really changed, as you rightly mentioned. A lot has happened. I remember when it used to be directly, you have to do a job, you have to do it through an agency. So you can't, it's hard, it's almost impossible to do a job without an agency. They have to call you, guy, come studio. Now, so studio they use, come and record, you go there. Sometimes you have the brand manager, you have a lot of people in the studio who are directing and all that. The industry I can't remember the last time I saw too many people in the studio directing a voice session. It used to be the norm then. That has changed. It has moved from that space to a space where voice talents can now work directly with brands. I mean, a brand manager for a particular brand could just reach out to you and say, I like your voice. Can you be on this project? You just sign contracts, back, and you're doing the job. So that's a major change. That's a major change in industry. Well, it has its good sides. It also has its bad sides. It's for the good side. For the good side is when we used to have so many people in the studio. For instance, you have a brand, say brand A wants to do a video recording for a TV commercial, and your voice is selected to represent that brand. You get to the studio, you have the brand manager in the studio, you have the voice director in the studio, you have the studio manager, and maybe you have an assistant, something. You have like minimum 3 to 4 people who are directing. Sometimes by the time you come out, you're all sweaty because you've taken 1 million takes. Brand manager, you've taken like 10 of his takes. The creative director, you've taken 15 of his takes. So you end up taking so many takes. Now, those takes help shape you. I only got to realize this a lot later in my career. Like, these things will actually work. Both the ones that didn't work, the ones that will tell you, no, make it exciting. Like, smile. Like, in your head, it's not right. It doesn't sound natural, but now then you can't work now. You have to give them that take too. So all those things add to who you are as a voice of a talent over the years. So, but these days where we have people you just record, and post-production, you can tweak a lot of things, tweak, and just send. So it has taken that part away from the industry. That's the bad part. But the good part is easy accessibility. Somebody reaches out to you, I want a job in 1 hour. You be like, okay, go pay. You just go into the studio, you cook it, and it's out. So that's the good part. It makes business swift and easy. But it has taken away that training from different people directing you differently. It has taken that away from the industry. I don't know. People who've had the opportunity, to experience that will definitely know that there's a difference. So that's one thing. Then another thing about development, I also like the fact that the industry has has evolved so much that there are so many young voice talents now coming in, it's beginning to look like an industry. Before now, truth be told, the voice is just voiceover. There's nothing, no end talk of industry attached to it. There's no end. No, that's the truth. That's the truth. It's just, we know people who do voiceovers. This guy does voiceover. This girl does, so when there's a job, you just reach out to them and get the job done. It wasn't as broad as it is now. These days, see you guys now. You guys are on fire. We have Sarah, we have T-Code everywhere. There are young people online. There are talents everywhere. So it's making the industry broader. It's now giving it that form, that industry form. Somebody can have a conference comfortably and have 500 people attend. Voiceover talents, 1,000 people attend. They exchange ideas. That's a major sign of growth in the voiceover industry. Before now, it wasn't like that. Before you put 50 voiceover talents together, you don't walk tire. You have to. So these are signs of growth in the industry. And as I said earlier, they have their good sides. They also have their bad sides. But generally, I think I'm happy that the industry is headed where it's headed right now, particularly in Africa, Nigeria and Africa. To be fair to those who go the extra mile to find out things, to learn things. But Africans do not like to push and learn that much, particularly the young generation. Respect to everybody who is not in that class. But the truth is, the future is bright. With AI, there are so many opportunities, but those opportunities will only be available to people who know how to use them. So it's to find them, harness them, and make the best out of them. So I had a conversation with somebody. It was it last month or 2 months ago, about this AI thing and voiceovers. It was like, forget this thing, AI everywhere. You can just go somewhere, put a voice and generate a voice. There's no career in voiceovers. That's how much information that person has. Matter of fact, as an African, we can utilize AI. We can cash in on this AI drive in the voiceover industry and make the very best for ourselves. But was it 2020, 2021? I went for a training. It had to do with sound production, theme production, and all that. And one of my colleagues there, he was a top Upwork guy. And when he has conversations about Upwork, and I'll be like, this same Upwork. He was always saying nice things about Upwork, how he needs to withdraw. I said, let me take a look at this Upwork again. So I went back to Upwork and I started looking at it. I said, this thing, let me even try it. The first work I did on Upwork was a $15 work. I was like, then the dollar was not as big as it is now. I think the dollar, I can't remember the exact figure, but it wasn't big. So on a normal day, the agency was paying me more than Upwork would pay. Unlike now, if you get a $50 work on Upwork, you will smile well. You will smile. So then the value of the naira was still high, so it wasn't too big. And let me just do it and see. So one of the days I saw a Nigerian, Abim. You should know Abim. Shout out to Abim.
Voice of Abim.
I saw his profile. I just told him this thing this year, like in February. I saw his profile and I think I saw around $9,000+. And I was like, $9,000. Somebody can do. Are you saying this guy gathered $5, $10 up to $9,000? If this guy did that, I would try it. Let me see. And that was it for me. He was a major motive. He didn't know. I just told him that in this year, 2024. I was like, okay, let me try it.
Wow.
I'm sharing the Upwork story. So I got an Upwork. I started paying attention. I learned a lot of things, a lot. I started reading a lot about Upwork, how it works, gigs and all. And jobs just started coming. $10, $20, $50, $100. At the point it started moving. So there's a category. When you get to a particular category, they lift you up. And the higher you go, the more visible you are to certain level of clients. So I think that's the way the platform works. And I started getting better jobs, $50, $45, $100. And the thing was started. So one of the withdrawal, and then when I started the withdrawals I was doing $50 withdrawal, $60, almost, small like that. 2000, like I was already working on major brands at this time. So it took a lot of humility for me to do that. Like I was already working with brands like Coke, Samsung. I had retainership with like a couple of them. Like I was getting normal money from normal voiceover. And I say, I'll be voiceover guy. They give me money. But I was doing this $5, $10 thing, and it just started growing like that.
Wow, that was so motivating. I feel like getting back to Upwork and say, Upwork, I need you to work for me. That's what you should do, right? Upwork. Okay, that was a bad joke. But yeah, Ahmed was quite inspiring, and the lessons to learn from this episode, really, one is you never know. That thing that you're despising or you're just looking down on and saying, well, I'm not sure I need that. It's probably the thing that would open the next door for you, right? In 1 year, Ahmed via Upwork made $21,000. Now that's a big deal for Africans because platforms like that are usually more tuned for the Western users. I mean, people in the US, Europe, and all of that. But for an African to make such amount of money on that platform, now that's really impressive. Now, yours might not be Upwork. It could be voices.com. It could be some other thing. It could be audio production. It could be even voiceovers. You're just allowing it to lie there. It's time to dust it up and say, hey, I need to, grow this skill. I need to delve into this part of the business and get something bigger out of it. So yeah, you're inspired. Put it in your next year resolution, but start working on it from now on. You could take a training and something like that, to just boost your voiceover skills. Right. And another thing that Ahmed talked about was the difference between the voiceover industry back then when everybody would go into the studio physically and record. But now people have home studios and, things are popping. But I think the lesson to learn from that is that it's not a fluke. There is a lot of hard work involved when it comes to doing voiceover that you have to put yourself through that process as well. As technology comes, things can get easier, but the real work is in doing it over and over and over and over again, because that's the true way to gain mastery of things. So I'd encourage you to practice as often as possible, record every day, right? And I think that's one of the best ways to build mastery of voiceover. You begin to know your voice better and you begin to understand the things you can improve on, the mistakes you're making. And yeah, it gets better all around as a voiceover artist. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed this episode as well as I do. And if there are things that you learned that I did not mention, please feel free. Don't hesitate to drop these things in the comments. If you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, do that immediately. And if you're listening rather via Spotify or any other podcasting platform, you can also drop a comment. Please like, subscribe, share with other people, and let us know that you're enjoying the podcast. It's been a pleasure presenting to you this bonus episode, and now it's time for me to get onto the next thing. I remain T-Code, and I say keep voicing. Season's greetings, guys, and on to the next.